Got those needle nose, vice gripping monkey mother. Driving socket going ratchet, steel tube breaker jig, my flat dado.
Cheap creep.
What's happening, Jeep Creepers? All right, so I'm gonna do a video on basically tools. I know a lot of people out there, a lot of men these days too, they just don't seem to own tool sets. You know, I don't want to sound sexist, you know, ladies sometimes don't have a lot of tools, even though, you know, there's a growing number of women that have more tools than men. So it's kind of funny. But this video is made for anyone, any man, woman, or child, and these are the must-own tools. You have to have these to run a household, if you do light car repair, any kind of, if you fix anything, you're going to want these tools. So the very first thing that I want to start with is, I did a video already, but a workbench is very critical to having the ability to work on things, okay? Like whether it be any kind of carpentry, or working around the car, or working around the house, fixing things, cleaning things, whatever. A workspace, I cannot stress, is so crucial. And if all you Minecrafters out there, right? This is basically a craft table, okay? Same thing, you know, you pretty much have to have a work surface, or you're working on the ground, or the kitchen table and digging it up, or whatever, but you really need a work surface. So, I will recommend the work surface that I did a video on previously, which is the Keter, I'm not sure how you say it, it's K-E-T-E-R. It's a JobMade clamping table. It's model number B083MLT-L22. I'll link it down below, and you can watch my other video. I did a review on this because I love this table so much. But basically what it is, whoa, not knock the camera down. Basically what it is a nice carrying table, okay? It's got a nice little rubberized handle on it, and underneath are the legs, and that middle box there is clamps. And it just screws together extremely easy, nothing to it. And then you have a nice durable work surface in no time. You can see the legs here, how they're just real super coarse threaded legs. Screw it in the table. Don't need any tools to put it together. It all goes together by hand. It all fits nice and neat in its little case, which I absolutely love. And it's lightweight. You can pick it up, throw it around, no problem. And then it's in its case. I'll show you here. You have little sliding clamps, and I'll show you what those are for in a minute. So now that we got our table all put together, just flip this over. And then we got a work surface. Let me bring the camera down so you can see it. Okay, so I mentioned the tools that every person should have, every man, woman, and child. If it's a child, hey, be careful there, don't cut yourself, all right? Maybe get your parental permission if you're too young to be playing with tools. But tools are kind of an amazing thing, okay? It's not like you buy them, like, you know, phones, and they're junk in a year or two. Tools are generational, okay? I have my dad's tools, I have my grandfather's tools, and I have my great-grandfather's tools. They just pass down generation to generation. And there's no reason not to buy them. They will last pretty much forever. I mean, some tools are consumables, some wear out, some break. But, you know, I've got power drills from the 50s that still work. You know, I've got all kinds of woodworking tools that my grandfather and great-grandfather used. It's absolutely insane how long stuff will work. Most things just need to be sharpened or cleaned. Some things get a little bit rusty, but guess what? You can clean the rust off of them, and then it's still a great tool. So the only thing that I really get crazy about is sharp things. If it's a knife, make sure that you sharpen it. Keep it sharp. Some tools need to be oiled. Make sure they're oiled. But really, this should be lasting your lifetime and your kid's lifetime as well. So anyway, I digress. How much should you spend on tools? Now, for $142.94 is what I spent at Harbor Freight. I got a lot of tools. This is probably closer to $500 worth of tools if you were trying to buy all this stuff separately and put it together yourself. So what I recommend are kits. Here is the 5-minute version of what you need around the house. Boom. 50 caliber ammo box or ammo can. Hold your tools in it. It's a great toolbox. $29-piece drill set. Regular hammer, 11 inches. Folding utility knife. This particular one has 2 angles. 1 for pulling carpet, 2 for regular knife. Tape measure, 30 foot, has fractions. Handy. Level. This is a fancy level with an angle gauge that you don't need necessarily unless you really want to. They can be magnetic, but your X and Y level is what you're really looking for. Zip ties. 11 inch, 100 pieces. Nylon cable clamps. Hold your cables in place. Screw them in with a screw and hold up cables such as power or cable TV cables. Quick release seat clamp. Heavier duty than a normal trigger actuated one. Has a track and a dial adjust. Have 2 of these. Scraper knife. Scrapes up, easy peasy. Have blades, extra blades, razor blades, and utility knife blades as well. Duct tape, or more preferably, Gorilla tape. Need I say more? Socket driver adapter set. 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch. Quick square or a Rafter square. Must have for cutting angles and cutting straight or drawing straight lines and drawing angles. On person, regular pocket knife. This particular one is the SOG. This was called a cash card. Super small, 2 3/4 inch blade, very sharp, very lightweight, lock blade. It has a little pocket clip, very thin, nice. As you can see that everything fits in that case. There's room for more. Add whatever else you want in there. But this heavy duty ammo can is waterproof. Has a rubber seal on the door here, so it holds everything airtight or watertight. Locks down. Has a spot for a padlock if you need to lock it up. Pittsburgh 130 piece tool set. Just gonna do a quick rundown. Bit driver. Smaller Phillips, smaller flathead, larger flathead, larger Phillips, short Phillips and short flathead, locking wrench or vice grips, whatever you want to call it. Needle nose pliers, lineman pliers, wire cutters or diagonal pliers, crescent wrench or spanning wrench, metric and standard Allen wrenches, bit holder. It's kind of an extension. It's got a magnetic thing in it. These are micro screwdrivers, Phillips and flat. You have an array of Phillips, an array of flat, a few square. You have a 1/4 inch socket adapter for hand tightening sockets. A few common Torx bits, looks like 6 or 5 Torx. Some more Phillips. You also have Hex as well, which are the same as Allen. On this side, 3/8 socket wrench, claw hammer. I recommend having one in your toolbox, but you can also just get this one if you want. Spark plug for most common spark plug sizes. This is an extension bar. This is a shorter extension bar. This is a small tape measure. This is only 10 foot. Metric and standard size wrenches. You have a small little kit with some fine nails and some hooks. These are both basically for hanging picture frames. You have some wall anchors. No screws in this kit. You have metric and standard size sockets as well. That concludes everything that you should have in your house. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comments. Let me know if I missed anything you think that I should have in a toolbox or people should have absolutely in a toolbox. These are the basics, and I highly recommend it. Also, this work table, don't forget that. It's a handy thing. And then I'm going to do a second follow-up video, and that video will be all about power tools, and more or less the power tools that I think everybody should own and what their use is and a good place for them, I guess, because you can get crazy with power tools, obviously. All right, so this is going to be the part 2 section of my video. This part 2 is going to go into depth on every single tool that I purchased, taking it apart and showing you. I'm going to talk about cost, where to buy it, what these tools are good for, why you need them, and it's going to go into a lot more detail. So if you are kind of already a tool pro or don't want to be over-explained, you know, the basics, then yeah, you can just kind of skip ahead. But anyway, for everybody else, hey, here we go. All right, on this work surface, you will notice most important thing right there, cup holder, baby. Yeah, keep your cold beer in there, I guess, when you're working, or cold White Claw or water or whatever you're drinking. But this has a nice compass right here for figuring out cuts against your little clamps. You just slide in here like so. And what's good about them is you can put in a couple, comes with 4, and they just clamp lock down, and you can put stuff in there to hold it in place. You can put 2 in line like this. See, like right there? And then you could clamp a 2x4 across or whatever. But I don't want to get too crazy into this table, because while this table, in my opinion, is a must-own, it's actually not absolutely necessary. Like if you live with parents or an apartment or on the road, you don't have a whole lot of space, it's not absolutely mandatory. But man, I cannot recommend having one enough, because I do have workbenches and stuff, but man, I'm telling you, when you're working on a project, it's nice just having a table to lay your stuff out. One kit that I absolutely love, and I got it on sale at Harbor Freight. Normally it runs $44.99. It's a 130 piece tool kit case. I got it for $30, $29.99. I got a coupon on it. And this thing, if you only buy one thing, this thing will get you pretty close to everything you need. Let's check it out. And why did I buy this? If I have all these tools already, why did I buy this? Well, I have a garage, I have a second garage, I've got a basement all filled with tools. I'm tired of dragging tools back and forth and in between. I've got a few tools in my junk drawer upstairs in the house. It's too much. So I'm gonna have some floating tools, some floating tool sets that I have and I will keep. Now the other nice thing too about having a tool kit like this is that the tools stay in the kit. They have a place where they fit all as well. My style of collecting tools is I like pegboards. Okay, everything I have is displayed. Sockets are on racks. My wrenches I've got all on pegs with hooks, with a hook set. Some people get into like the tool, the rolling toolboxes that you see in garages and stuff. Those work great too. Whatever your style is, as long as you have some sort of organization. If you don't have any room for any of that, this is again a reason why to do this method, which is just buy tool kits, throw them in the closet, forget about them until you need them, kind of thing. Doesn't matter if you're not always working on stuff, you can just use it when you need it. So let's get into the 130 piece tool set. The thing that's important as well, standard and metric. You cannot have one tool set in the United States. Standard was United States pre, I don't know, 1980, maybe 1970. Everything was standard. Now, most things are metric or standard metric mix, like on cars, for example. There's no getting away from it. So don't even try to. You're going to need to own both. And that's with almost every single type of tool there is. There's standard and metric sets. So right off the bat, this is what I love. This is like what came first, the chicken or the egg. We have a nice little, whatchamacallit, zip tie. And it is stuck, keeping the box closed. So you need a tool to get to your tools. It's kind of funny, but it's commonplace. Before we get into our tools, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite tools, which is just your good old pocket knife. All right. This particular knife is the SOG or SOG. This is a cash carry knife. So it's really ultra thin. It's got a nice metal frame. It's got a little clip as well. You can clip it. Supposedly you can put it in your wallet. I find it a little bit too flat to do that. Something like this is, I think, a must-have. You don't need to carry a big old hunting knife or anything like that unless you really want to. This is just a 2.5 inch or 2.75 inch blade. It's a perfect knife. It's a locking knife. The lock is in the middle. You slide this over to unlock it, and then here you go. Bob's your uncle. You got a nice, flat, easy going, very sharp, very durable knife. Now, yeah, you could carry, one of your, multi-tools or whatever. I like just having just a knife. I don't, while Leathermans and all that are nice to have all those little tools all together. To me, that is like if you're stranded in the wilderness kind of stuff. I don't think that's all you want to have in your life. Get yourself just a nice little simple pocket knife, whatever you like. You don't have to buy this brand. You don't have to buy any particular high-end knife, just as long as it's sharp and you like it. The big thing about pocket knives is like anything else. They're useless if you don't carry them. So if you don't carry it, then you bought the wrong knife. So, back to the case. And you can see how sharp this is. This is going through a nice thick zip tie. And all I'm going to do is rock it, and boom. Just like that, we are in. Put my knife away, safety first, lock it up. Okay, so we got this opened. It's got a little piece of foam in here to kind of keep all your stuff together. I don't know if I'm going to like this or not, because I don't know if that's going to do the trick. So I might make an insert to keep things a little bit cleaner. But let's go over the tools. So what does this have in it that makes it so freaking necessary? Well, for starters, you got a nice small hammer, okay? Every household, any project you do in the house, you're usually gonna have a hammer. This is not something you're gonna go and build a whole garage with. It's just a little indoor, simple hammer. If you're gonna build something big, you're gonna want something with leverage, a longer arm. You have your standard 3/8 ratchet. Any of these sockets will work with it. It can be adapted to use bits as well, but 3/8 is your middle size. Your ratchet size or your socket sizes when you're buying sockets is quarter, 3/8, and half. Those are the standard sizes. If you work on cars or small, motors, this is this one comes with a 5/8 spark plug. Now, that's not to say all spark plugs are 5/8, but a lot of them are, so that helps you out. Comes with an extension to get in a tight space you can't reach. You got a short extension, standard and metric. You have an adapter to turn your 3/8 down into the smaller socket size, which is quarter. And these smaller sockets are quarter. Now the bigger 1/2 inch, that's usually used just for, usually used in automotive. I can't think of anywhere else where you get into that, but it's usually for heavier stuff. You really don't need 1/2 inch. You can if you want. You got your standard and metric wrenches, and some of your most common sizes are like 1/2 inch and 9/16. You got an open end, and then you got a close end. These are both the same size, and it just depends on what you can get on. The closed end is a little bit at a level, so you can get your knuckles in there and you can tighten it down really well and not slip off. And if you can't get that on, then you can use the open end and get in there. This set comes with all of your most common sizes. It doesn't have all sizes. And let me just make that clear really quick too. There's different, scales of tools. You got small sizes, really small stuff that's not very common. This is the middle scale, and it gets out pretty wide. And then you have larger stuff. And that's not to say that you can't work on a car and stuff, because the biggest socket in here is pretty massive. It is only a shallow socket. They do come in longer sockets for automotive, and the largest one is a 7/8. That is a pretty big nut, okay? That's something you would see on a car. So with the hammer, it comes with this kit. It comes with a variety of finishing nails, which you can use for light woodworking or hanging stuff, I guess. It's got some clips that you can nail to hold things in place. And these are, I believe, drywall anchors for putting in screws, which is kind of funny, it doesn't have any screws, but those are some pretty common fasteners. You really don't have to worry about that too much. Tape measure, you should have tape measures everywhere. It's the handiest thing to have in your car. You go to the hardware store and forget, but this tape measure is okay. It doesn't have fractions, which I like, where it's written in fractions, but it does have inches and millimeters. Meters, sorry, and it goes to 10 foot. It's a pretty small, light-duty tape measure. That'd be good for indoors. All right, over here you have a wide variety of Phillips heads, which are, if you don't know what a Phillips looks like, some people call them star heads or plus. I don't know. They got a lot of weird different names, but the industry name is Phillips. That's pretty obvious that it's used for, anything you work on. The car, the house. And then over here, you've got your flathead bits. It gives you a few square bits, which you don't see a whole lot. And then this little guy is kind of handy. This See how it has a ball on it? Okay. That is for putting on your screwdriver, and then you can run a socket. So let me illustrate here. So over here we have what's called a bit driver screwdriver. Okay. Doesn't have anything on it but a hole. You pop in your bit like so, or this little adapter, and now you can use 1/4 inch sockets and unscrew things. Pretty handy. If you didn't know, you can use the same bit driver and pull out any of these bits, which are stuck in there pretty good. See if I can get one. Well, I can't pull one out too easy, but this is where the pliers come in hand. Use the pliers to get them out, and then you can use any kind of bit you want. Moving on to the bits. Bits and bits. Okay, we got a few more Phillips, Phillips head screwdrivers, and then we have what some people call stars. These are actually called Torx bits. Torx bits. They're kind of a newer thing. You see it a lot in automotive. You will see it also in electronics and stuff. Sometimes they have that weird star-shaped bit. That's what that's good for. And then, similar to Torx bits, you have hex. Okay, hex are let's see, 6-sided hexadecimal. Duh. And here's their size range right here. And again, this is used a lot in automotive stuff, mechanical stuff. Not so much around the house. This is more for like machined screws and things of that nature. That's where you usually see that kind of stuff. Hex, or Torx, the previous one I showed you, Torx also is used in carpentry as well. A lot of wood screws are in Torx now. So there is that. All right, moving on. So we were talking about hex. Hex bits, before hex bits existed, people just use these. These are called Allen wrenches, okay? These are hex again sized. And you have standard and metric sizes as well. So just find what fits, and then you're good to go. These are two-headed, so you use the short side with the arm, long arm, for leverage. Or if you can't get into a tight area, you can use the bottom side and get in there, but you don't have as much leverage. Sometimes you have to do that. And that's just the standard and metric. All right, so moving on. We also have a bit holder. Now, a bit holder, kind of funny that it came with it, you can use in conjunction with your bit driver. You can just pop it in there, and then you can pop whatever bit you want in there. It's kind of redundant a little bit, I think. I mean, I guess it could be it's magnetic is why, I guess. It holds your bit in a little bit better. I guess that's why you would use that. The nice thing about a bit holder too is you could use that in a drill. It'll lock in a drill, and use a drill to lock your bits, or an impact wrench, or pneumatic wrench or whatever. But we'll get into power tools later on. Right now we're just talking basics. This is a spanning wrench. I grew up calling it a crescent wrench. Crescent wrench is a name brand. I guess Crescent is the company. I don't know. But this is actually a spanning wrench, or a spanner, I guess you could call it. And this particular one that comes in the kit is 6-inch or 150 millimeter. And you just turn this, and then it holds its place, and then you can turn a nut or a bolt with it. This is a very handy tool to have, and you should have one. And these come in all different sizes as well. But this little, I shouldn't say a little one. It's not that little. I've got smaller ones than this. This is on the smaller side, I guess. But it should get most of the things you need done. if you need leverage and you're doing something heavy and automotive, like a big bolt, this is probably not what you're going to want to use. You're probably going to want to get a bigger one. But again, we're just going over basics. All right, so what else does this kit come with? This is handy, okay? These are wire cutters, also called dikes, believe it or not. And what you do with these is cut wire. Now, if you're really good, you can do what I do and also strip wire. So if you're stripping wire and you want to strip the casing off, you can get in there and just kind of nip it a little bit all the way around and then just lightly squeeze it and then strip it right off. That takes a little bit of skill to master. They do have wire strippers that make it a lot easier, especially if you're doing a lot of wire and fine wire. You might want to use a tool designated just to do that. But if you get good with it, you really can just use these probably 90% of the time. All right. Next we have what they call, some people call them lineman pliers. And I think what makes it a lineman plier, maybe, I'm not sure, is the fact that it's got a flat nose. Most likely why is because unlike regular pliers, this doesn't have the same jaw. This actually has a wire cutter in the middle. So that's probably why it's a lineman plier actually. Because just like the wire cutters, you can cut wire and you can use it for, tightening nuts or bolts or whatever. So it's kind of a multi-purpose tool. I would almost recommend getting some regular pliers and not depending on just these, because regular pliers, you really need the extra grip all the way around to grab onto something, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. All right, this is what I call a needle nose plier. It's also known as a long nose plier. Some of them have really fine tips that go to a sharp point. This particular one is stubby on the end. And again, it has a wire cutter in the middle. And with that wire cutter, you can do everything that the other two tools do. You can cut wire, you can strip wire with these. These are good for getting into tight places. Being that they have a long nose, they're not great for things that are super tight and super hard to get off. These are more of a surgical tool, kind of, to get into tighter spaces. All right, next up we have what's known as a locking wrench. I call them vice grips. I think that's a name brand as well, but these are pretty cool and these are very, very handy. So notice, this has a round grab on it. So if you want to get something in there, like a nut or a bolt, and then say it's stripped, you can actually get in there and then lock it down. So let's say you got let's say this is a bolt or something you're trying to turn. You can actually get on there and then you squeeze it and you can't get it closed. So you loosen this up a little bit like so, and then it clutches in place. And now you have, look at this, I'm grabbing a smooth surface, no problem with these things. So it's pretty cool. And then to release, just pop it out, boom, Bob's your uncle, you're good to go. All right. And then coming on to the other things, we have just a stubby flathead screwdriver, along with stubby Phillips. You got a longer Phillips, longer flathead, and the reason why you have these different ones is because it's the size of the heads, right? And while yes, you could use a bit driver, bit drivers to me don't feel as durable as just a regular straight shaft screwdriver. So if you can use a regular screwdriver and not the bit driver, I would recommend that. But this is a nice kit. You really can't beat it for 30 bucks. But let's move on and see what other things I spent all my hard-earned money on. All right, first thing I want to show you is what I use for a toolbox. All right, this is the 50 caliber ammo box. Why do they call it 50 caliber ammo box? Well, I'll tell you. It's designed after a military ammo box. I think probably came in place around World War I, World War II, I'm guessing. They're normally metal, and they have a rubber seal on them, and they have a nice lock, and you can also put a padlock on here as well if you want to lock your case. They have a nice chunky handle for carrying a lot of heavy weight. They're durable and pretty freaking awesome. You can get these at Harbor Freight, pretty cheap. This was $9, $8.99. So if you don't have a toolbox, I recommend getting this because I will show you how much stuff I got in here. Alright, we're going to do this in no super particular order, but this is convenient. Right here, if you don't know what these are, remember when we were in that kit? Let me get my knife out so I can get these out. This name brand is Warrior, which I think is Harbor Freight's kind of middle line. Like you can get them in their more name brand line. And you don't really need to buy name brand tools, by the way. I love Harbor Freight because they're cheap. They're not super name brand. They're like Chinese tools, whatever. But it's not really a bad thing. I don't know too many people that hate Harbor Freight. And the only people that would say anything bad about it are people that do stuff professionally. Like if you're a professional mechanic or welder or something and you're doing 1,000 things a day, you're going to probably buy high-end tools just because you don't want them breaking and it's your livelihood and whatever. But what this is a 3-pack. It's a socket adapter. So this side could go into that screwdriver and you can run a socket, or more importantly, you can put this into a drill. And now you can use a drill or an impact driver, which is like a drill, but it hammers. Sometimes they call them a hammer drill, and use sockets. And the nice thing about that is you get way more power, it's way faster, it's what you want to do. And this has the 3 sizes. This is why I recommend having this, is you have your 3 sizes, quarter, 3/8, and half, to use sockets, and not only sockets, but also Torx bits, hex bits, and standard, Phillips or flathead screwdriver bits. So it's pretty cool. So that's the first thing that we have on there. This guy wasn't too bad in price. This is a pretty cheap little tool to have. Looking it up, it's $5. Worth its weight in gold. All right. Next on my list of things, I have just a standard razor scraper. Now this is good for painting, getting stickers off of cars, getting, I don't know, like decals off of stuff. If you're really careful, you can pretty much peel anything off. Go ahead and open this and demonstrate it. So you see how handy this knife is already coming in place? Like a knife is like the first tool you need to buy. Oh, that's nice of them. So that just pops up, and then now you got a scraper. Scrape whatever you want to scrape. Retracts, boom bam, for safety. Handy thing. Comes with a little 5-pack of extra razor blades. You can actually, if you need a closer thing as well, you can actually use razor blades just by themselves for really surgical, fine kind of scraping, and not use the handle. All right. One of the most important things, duct tape. Duct tape is gray. This is Gorilla Tape. Now the difference between duct tape and Gorilla Tape is Gorilla Tape is way more stickier, okay? It is ultra sticky. This stuff is also ultra thick. If you thought duct tape was durable and could be used everywhere, Gorilla Tape is that, but like times 4, okay? It's way stronger, and it works better in cold climates, I've noticed. It's way more sticky. I can't say enough good things about it. If you can buy just regular duct tape, but I recommend Gorilla Tape. That's what I kind of switched to lately. All right, what is this guy? This is a Rafters square. Okay, this is handy for basically doing like woodworking, right? Like, let's say you have, let's say this is a 2x4 and you need to draw a straight line against it. You would basically put this on your straight edge and you can cut angles. More importantly, you can cut, or you can do perfectly straight lines. It's really handy. That way there you can measure once, pull out your rafter square, and cut away. This is great for when you're working with like a lot of 2x4s and any kind of cuts really. It's got a valance here, and you know, all your different angles here to work with. And I could talk forever about this, how many different functions this has, but this is a very cheap tool, and it's something that I definitely recommend anybody pretty much have, because if you're ever going to cut 2x4s or anything, you want to draw straight lines, or if you want to find square on things, it's handy for that. These run $3. No reason not to buy it. Okay, in the same vein as that, these are going to take some scissors, I think, to release it. Let me see if I can get it with just my knife. See how sharp this knife is. All right, my knife got through it. So it's pretty thick plastic. All right, what is this? This is known as a torpedo level. Now, you really don't need one quite this fancy if you don't want, but you need some sort of level. Now, they make different levels. This particular one is a little bit fancier, and I paid $15 for it, but levels literally start at about $1, I think, and kind of go up. Like, you can get just a little small orange one, and it's all you need. The nice thing about this is it's magnetic, so it'll stick. Actually, this one is not magnetic. I'm sorry. Most levels are magnetic. So if you're trying to like level a picture frame or anything, you can see the different bubbles to find level. So if you wanted to take, you know, a picture frame, you would set it on top, and then you can see your left and right, or your x-axis and your y-axis, and kind of set it. This particular one, the reason why I got this one, it's a little bit fancier. So on this particular level right here, you can see that you can actually dial in an angle, any angle you want. So let's set it to like 10 degrees. And then you can find 10 degrees with that bubble. That's 10 degrees right there. So this is pretty cool. Again, don't need to spend a lot. Unless you're going to be doing a lot of things where you're trying to dial in angles and cutting wood at certain angles or whatever. I probably wouldn't spend $15 on a level. I probably would just get like a $2 or $3 one and call it good. But I have a bunch of smaller ones already. So, you know, there's that. But keep a good little level in your toolbox. All right. So if you don't have a pocket knife, you're going to want a utility knife. This particular style I like a lot. Let's open this up using another knife. As you can see, where this differs from your regular utility knife, where you just have like a little handle, you push on the handle and retract and pull back or retract and expand the blade, I guess. This particular one is a lock blade, and like my pocket knife, this has a button to unlock it, and then it closes for safety when you're not using it. But when you do open it, oh, it actually locks when it's not in use as well. That's unusual. So you got to push the button again to unlock it. It locks. It's got a nice, oh, it's got actually a couple different diagonals for the blade. You can actually keep it like this if you want, if you're kind of ripping carpet or something. or you can push it again and then it locks into straight out. This one's a lot different than the other one I had. The nice thing about this is you can change the blades just simply, it looks like on this one, by rotating this and then pulling the blade out. And then you've probably seen these. These are just your typical, you know, standard utility knife or linoleum knife, sometimes they call them, with two ends. And the purpose of that is if one end gets dull, you just flip it around and use the other end. So let's lock that, or unlock that, and then pop that back in. And then boom. This is a knife that you definitely want to keep in your toolbox again. Like I said, it's good for cutting linoleum, cutting wire, opening boxes, and cutting tape, just cutting everything. It's razor sharp and pretty durable. This particular one also has a belt clip on it as well, made by Gordon. And this one, this particular knife was $6. So not a whole lot of money. Definite must-have. Something else you're going to want to get as well with your knife is just get yourself a little pack of blades. Here's a 10-pack of blades, which was $2. So it's a super cheap knife to run. The reason why you would use this knife instead of, you know, my standard pocket knife, because like I mentioned, like cutting carpet or cutting linoleum, that is going to chip up and dull your blades so fast it's not even funny. So unless you're really into constantly sharpening knives, you can just use these until they're junk, pop in a new blade, and then you're good to go. You can flip the blade over before you pop in a new one and go all day and just beat the living bejesus out of this. So very cool. All right, this falls into the same vein as the duct tape. What are these? Well, these are just your standard run-of-the-mill cable ties, sometimes called zip ties. And all you do is simply wrap, I'll show you what it looks like. All you do is simply wrap whatever you want around, and then as you pull this, you'll hear it click. When it's clicking, it's actually zipping and it will not come out. These are pretty strong, and you can do this to hold anything to anything pretty much. So instead of using like wire to hold stuff together or tape, you can use zip ties, and these can be used everywhere. Fantastic invention. They've been around quite a while. Harbor Freight, again, has these pretty dang cheap. I got 100 of these for $2.99, and they're the longer 11-inch ones. They do come in different lengths, different widths, different durabilities, all that stuff. But to me, I think 11-inch pretty much will handle anything you do around the house or on the car or anything. Again, you can find things in different scale depending on what application. In that same vein, I bought these. These, I'm going to say, are more or less kind of a little bit more specialized, maybe. Like if you are running cabling in your basement or something and you want to hold up the cable, you would, let me show you what it looks like here. I like this little case that it comes in, it just pops open. But if you were running like cabling in your basement, you can use one of these smaller size ones, and they come on all different sizes. And all you do, and they have a million different things, so you don't have to get these, but it's something similar. See how it's got a little rounded out spot, and then it's got a screw. So you would screw this to your wall, and then it would kind of clamp down and hold your cable onto the wall. And when I say wall, I mean wood. Don't put these on your drywall. This is more for like the rafters in your basement, like you know, the 2x4s, or not 2x4s, like the 2x6s or 8s or 10s or whatever you have in your basement, rafters and things like that. I think this is pretty handy. I would recommend these as well. It's just a good thing to have around the house. These are $5. You get 40 in different sizes. You got 10 3/8, 6 3/4, 10 halves, and 14 quarters. So it's enough to get you started as far as doing stuff around the house. All right, I know the other toolbox had one, but I really like this tape measure. This is a Pittsburgh tape measure by Harbor Freight, or from Harbor Freight. It's 30 foot, it's 1 inch thick. Why do I like this tape measure and why buy another tape measure? Well, number one, this is 30 foot, okay? This is gonna pretty much be the tape measure you're gonna wanna use for anything other than super light duty around the house. This is not a heavy duty tape measure, but it's a mid-range one, I guess. It can do small jobs, big jobs. It's very utilitarian. If you don't know how to use a tape measure, you can pull it out, lock it, and then it'll stay in place. Pull the thing, it retracts. The thing that I like about this tape measure that they have, because I'm terrible with it, look at that. It has fractions on there. So if you want 2 5/8, you can find it. If you hate fractions like I do, well, there they are. No problem. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Good for doing fine stuff. All right, last but not least, on our list of tools, these are quick release bar clamps. These are pretty nice. I'm a particular fan of this style. They have ones that are lighter duty, but I like these a lot because they're kind of, I don't want to call them super duty, but they will hold a lot and not let go. So unlike like your ones that have like a gun where you're just squeezing it and it gets tighter and tighter, some of those don't hold super permanently. These have a little locking thing on the back. You can hear it's got a little bit of a track. And then when you really want to get it locked down and dialed in even more, you could screw this handle and really lock that down. Now, this I would consider a mid-range clamp. Your hardcore clamps is just going to be a C clamp, and they're all cast iron or steel or whatever, and they have a big, huge handle to tighten just this part down. This part that I'm screwing right here. That would be like it's like a spinny thing with leverage on it. And that's like super hardcore for holding things that can weigh like 1,000 pounds. I've seen people use them for insanely large things. Don't think you need those. Those come in different sizes too, the heavy duty ones, which is kind of nice. But for just around the house, honestly, all you need is just something like this. I don't think you need anything more than this. And then, believe it or not, these are something that work better in pairs. Why in pairs? Because if you're like holding up a 2x4, it has 2 ends, and then this can hold each end. So minimum, I would get 2 of these. You can get different things as well, but I don't know. I think these are pretty handy. And let's see, what did I pay for those? Those were only $3.50 each from Harbor Freight. That's a pretty nice clamp for $3.50. So a pair of those is $6. Not a huge deal breaker. All right. The other thing I want to talk about is a normal hammer. This is a normal hammer. What makes it a normal hammer and not a carpenter's hammer? Well, the head on it is smooth. If it were not smooth and spiky, that would be a framing hammer. And what's different from a framing hammer and a normal hammer is a framing hammer has more grip for running nails really fast. It's good for roofing, good for framing, any kind of building, whatever. A normal hammer will do all those things. It's just not super specialized with the grip. The other thing that a framing hammer will have, a lot of them will have a slit cut out on the top, and you can actually set a nail in there. It'll have a magnetic thing, and it'll hold the nail. So the nail will stick in there like that, and then if you're trying to do something one-handed, boom, that'll get it started, and then you can pop it in. A normal hammer, what's really nice about it is you know, the back, this is how you pull out nails. You just get under the head of the nail and leverage it out. You can also use this as a pry bar or for scraping. Hammers are great for just beating the living bejesus out of stuff. I don't think I like fiberglass hammers personally. Around the house, that's fine, but hammers really don't cost much and price difference is too bad. I think fiberglass ones can be cheaper. The only nice thing about those, they're lighter, I guess. But the point of a hammer is leverage, so the length of the handle matters. And then weight, because if you're driving a nail, the heavier it is, the faster you'll drive the nail. And then I like having a metal arm, just so if I'm prying stuff, I know I'm not ever going to break it. And shock absorption is the other thing, so what kind of handle it has on it. And that's only if you're hammering all day, if you have arthritis or something. I think that would be something to be concerned about. But again, this size hammer as well. This one does not fit in my toolbox. I do have a smaller hammer that can fit in there, but you're going to want something that will. Let's see what size hammer our toolbox will take. My handy dandy tape measure. It will hold an 11-inch hammer, and this hammer is almost 13. So even on a diagonal, this won't fit in there. I thought it would, but no way you're ever gonna get, well, actually, if you set it in there like that, will it fit? Yes, it will. But in doing so, you're really playing Tetris. I would probably just get a hammer that fits in the toolbox better. So probably an 11-inch hammer. Or that other kit has a hammer in it, you could just use that one. Still buy this tape measure though. And then the last thing, without getting into power tools, but this is a power tool thing. Let's close that knife, eh? And the last thing is a drill set. This is a titanium drill set. Titanium, this one's perfect for wood, plastic, and metal. It's just kind of a run-of-the-mill set. 29 pieces in this particular set. Open it up. Got it open finally. Alright, so like I was saying, drills. This is a drill set. It's pretty small in size. And I've got big fingers, so everything's hard for me to get to. But you can fold this up, pick the drill that you need. The smallest drill bit on this thing is 1/16. Those are all the little drills. That goes up to 9/32. Then it has all your medium-sized drills, which is 13/32 up to 19/64 up to 13/32. And then it's got big drills. Big drills just pop out like that. Big drills go from 27/64 to 1/2 inch. That is a lot of different in-between sizes. Honestly, this is more than you're really probably ever gonna need. Hopefully this is one of the last drill sets that you have to buy. I go through drills like crazy because as soon as they start getting dull, you just pitch them. Yeah, they got sharpeners and stuff like that, but for the most part, especially with titanium drills, I don't think they're really great to resharpen. You can sharpen steel drills pretty easy. These were only 20 bucks for 29 drills. So this is, I consider, another must-have. Now, why do you need a drill? Well, if it's just around the house, again, say you're hanging a picture or something. If you want to put in an anchor, you have to drill out the anchor hole in your drywall and then push it in or hammer it in and then screw in your screw. So there's an example right there of why you would need a drill. Yes, you can use these for anything, for automotive, for around the house, you know, whatever, light duty stuff, you're good with. So I'll end that there, and then I'll make a second video because this video is way too long already. I went to way too much explanation. Hope that it helps some people. But anyway, that's it for this episode of Jeep Creep. Hope it wasn't too long. Hope I was informative without being boring. Till next time, guys.